Hello, and thank you for joining me. So this is going to be, I guess you could call it a how-to video. I don't often do this, but I thought it would be as topical as anything. I've just had a bit of an accident. I've been scalded. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to come up very clearly in the camera or not, but if you look at my inner arm, sort of around here, I'm not sure if that's clear or not. Try and get that away from the light. Yeah, well, anyway, if you can't see in the camera, it's sort of a pink and reddish color. What basically happened? This is the crime scene. Put this carefully in glass. I've got a little coffee percolator here, and if you look closely, it's cracked at the bottom. So I was pushing the little percolator down, and I felt there was pressure. Perhaps it was the volume of coffee was too much. Maybe the water was too boiling. In theory, you're not meant to use boiling water, so maybe I'd done it too quickly. But one way or the other, basically, it exploded at the bottom. Complete mess, coffee everywhere, water everywhere. Now, my first instinct was to grab a towel and mop up what I could and tidy up. It was only about 30 seconds later that I actually took the instinct to put this under cold water. And in retrospect, I probably should have done it a bit faster. Um, So I want to give some sort of like peer advice. If you have been scalded, the chances are the first thing you're going to do is not look at this video. But just in case you happen to come across this video, it's good for reference. If you live in the UK, unless it seems to be an emergency, that is that the scald is so bad that you're writhing in agony, I wouldn't call 999 because they're quite strict about it being absolutely an emergency. It's incredible what sort of things people call 999 over. However, that doesn't mean you just have to like suffer in silence. There is a number 111, NHS Direct, and what they can do is give you advice over the phone. Um, the switchboard operator will take the basic details, then an NHS nurse will call back and basically give you advice. I find them very helpful. You just describe what the wound is. In my case, it wouldn't be a first degree burn because the skin itself isn't punctured. So far, there's no blistering. It is quite painful. So, for example, I can't, if I do that, I can feel the pain. And it's just on the elbow, so it's in an awkward place. Um, it could definitely be a lot worse, but I wanted to just make this video in case anyone else out there has experienced that. If you live in the UK, I don't know about other countries, but if you live in the UK, call 111. That's a free number, 111, and just tell them what the problem is. Um, in my case, I think I've been quite lucky. I probably should have put it under cold water immediately. They say it shouldn't be super cold. I'm not sure why that is, but not super cold. Cool water, keep it running for 20 minutes. I didn't actually keep it running constantly for 20 minutes, sort of intermittently. But what the nurse told me was that in theory this should disappear after a few hours. So maybe if I hold my arm back like that, you could see it right here. It is quite painful, but it's not so painful. It's excruciating. So if you're wondering what that feels like, it's bad, but it's not like unbearably bad. So that's what you do. If you live in the UK, 111, and not just for scalds, for burns, for any sort of medical ailment that isn't an emergency. Now, what does the NHS class as an emergency? If you are suffering life-threatening injury, so for example, you've been the victim of a serious assault, if you've been in a road accident, if you've suffered first-degree burns, anything that can be considered life-threatening, anything if you think that you're getting dizzy from your injury, if you can, 999, and yeah, the emergency services in this country are generally exemplary. So it's a nuisance. I could do without it. Um, what if I'm just pleased I'm by myself, and I have a young niece and nephew, and I'm so grateful that they weren't kind of around at the time. Not that they live here anyway, but scares me to think if children were around. So yeah, just from a common sense point of view, if you're, something like a coffee percolator, it looks like it would be harmless, but if you make the mistake I did, I don't know if the coffee volume was too high. Um, just show you again. Well, probably some of the coffee has come out, but I sensed that something wasn't quite right when I was pushing it down. I should have just stopped there. Instead, I just continued to push it down, and next minute, it's like this brown fountain of mess. And my first instinct, like I said, was to clean up. Probably I should have immediately went to the tap. That's that. Another piece of common sense: put it in a bag. Put a note on just in case the bin handlers so they can see that it's fragile. It's a nuisance, but a learning experience. Yeah, so if you have young children, if you're doing something like that, make sure they're at a distance. Well, make sure anyone's at a distance. And if you're pushing that down, um, bear in mind you're dealing with boiling water or a hot liquid. It can potentially, as I've discovered tonight, be dangerous, be risky. So if you are using one of these coffee percolator things, do it carefully. And if you feel that the pressure is too much, stop. Because believe me, that is not a pleasant experience to have that shot out of you. It could have been worse, could have been in my face. And it very nearly was because I was looking very closely at it. I knew there was something wrong. But as it turns out, I've got probably third degree burn, I guess. But the skin hasn't been punctured and it's not peeling, so that's the good news. Anyway, I'll leave it there. That's what you do if you have any sort of injury that isn't so serious that you would have to go to hospital, but it's enough of a problem that the pain continues. So hopefully, she mentioned to just let it run under cold water for a while. And also, she mentioned soap. Apparently, soap has, I forget the chemical or whatever she mentioned, but it does ease the pain slightly. So you could put soapy water and just rub it over that. So that can actually ease the pain. Hopefully, this will be gone by tomorrow or at least the day after. And again, if you're wondering what it's like, I feel like that guy Coyote Peterson who does the insect bite videos. Basically, the pain, it's bad, but it's not excruciating. It's bad enough to be distracting, but it's not so bad that you're writhing in agony. I mean, I think I could sleep okay, but it's not ideal. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful. So again, if you live in the UK, 111 999 is only for life-threatening emergencies. Thanks for watching, and I hope this has been helpful.